Paula.
She couldn't forget that guy. Anyway. Okay, and let's see. That brings us to EVS and Cybertron.
Right.
So, yeah, it was interesting because you said the last Dave was involved was when he offered to go to New Jersey and do a video with Van Sciver. Dave hasn't heard back since. Meanwhile, EVS has announced that Dave's coming and doing a video. You said, I think one of the problems that we might have here is the extra special treatment that I get from Bell Canada here at the Off-White House. Just a couple of weird phone things that have occurred just in the last week. Blair Kitchen, I had phoned him when he was doing his Kickstarter and didn't know if his Kickstarter was over. And we did a jam page together that is one of the last things that I've drawn. Why don't you offer that as a stretch drive thing if your Kickstarter isn't over? And then I found out a couple of days later, yes, his Kickstarter was already over before I could get to him about that. But I didn't hear back from Blair. And I thought, well, that's a little odd because one way or the other, I would think that he would phone and let me know the Kickstarter's over, or, yeah, that's a great idea, let's do that. And then I just talked to Blair a couple of days ago, and he said, did you get my phone message? And I said, no, actually, I didn't get a phone message. He said, well, I'm not surprised because I tried leaving the message a couple of times, and every time it sounded like the voicemail was full. And it's like, no, I know that happens with some people, but believe me, Dave Sims, you're never going to have a full voicemail tape for Dave Sims. Anything over 3 or 4 is just completely unheard of in any kind of given week. So there is really no explaining how that happened. Another thing that happened and has happened, I can remember specifically calling Michael R. in Easton, Pennsylvania, and calling Eddie Kana, and in both instances, I thought, well, they should be there, but they're not picking up, so I'll leave a phone message. And both of them, when I did talk to them, said, that was really weird, my phone didn't ring. Then there's also the fact that I probably shouldn't be talking about Rob W. in Texas, the one who leaves me phone messages when he's drunk. I think the record so far has been 9 Rob W. phone messages. But he does have a valid point that depending on what he's leaving the message about, usually if he's building up to something, he's gone through a whole 3 minutes of establishing the premise of what it is. He's telling me all of this backstory so that he can tell me whatever it is he's going to tell me, as drunken people tend to do. That's when he gets cut off. And the message is not only not 3.5 minutes long, which is supposed to be the length of time that all of the messages are, it's like 18 seconds, which I'm not complaining. Anytime Rob W. gets cut off after 18 seconds, hey, I'm on board with that. Because I do listen to the messages, because I never know, okay, how many of these 9 messages are
entirely possible. That's I know that Ethan does the YouTube videos and like he did one and I started watching and it was 25 minutes long and after 15 minutes I'm like I don't see the point of this. I think I'm done.
Yeah, you said that. Where is that? That's here. I'm not posting a link because it's 25 minutes long. Like I'm trying to stay apolitical on the whole Comicsgate thing, but damn, Stu's monologue like he's a Stan Lee comic villain.
That's
I've watched 15 and a half minutes of it. My only takeaway is that EVS is using his comics artist pro secrets, emphasis mine, YouTube channel as a forum to discuss pop culture, and he has a new channel that's going to be devoted to comics. I do want to go down there and do a video with him because my reaction, knowing virtually nothing about any of this, was, oh, that's good that even the people that really, really disagree with him and are, trashing him out, he usually welcomes them to come on the show. Why don't you come on the show and we'll talk about it?
it's one of those. Like I said, I'm trying to stay apolitical because there's the one side is, well, everybody hates him because of his politics. It's like, well, yeah, maybe, but there's a lot of people and there's a lot of reasons. And I was looking into it a little bit. He did an Indiegogo for Cyberfrog Blood and Honey #1 that got funded at the last day of July. And it was supposed to ship last month, and as far as I know, it didn't. Because it's not done yet.
Right.
Which, okay, that's fine, but that's 97 days, and if you're doing a page a day, and it's a 48-page book, the math doesn't start to add up. But then I looked, and he's...
I was wondering about that, too. I mean, when I was talking to him on the phone, it was, Ethan, can you send me Cyberfrog? Because I had seen the covers that he had done that looked like pretty good image style covers just on Google image search, and it's like, oh no, I can't send you that. It's like I did that when I was 19 years old. It's like, Ethan, I'm not going to look at it and judge you. I would just like to know, okay,
what's the backstory for the story I'm writing?
What is the state of play on Cyberfrog? But no, he absolutely did not want me to see the earlier incarnation of it. And it's like, I'm going, no, to me, Ethan seems to be like the same category as Todd McFarlane, because everybody hated Todd McFarlane back in the early 1990s. Particularly when Image started, it was that guy was just a lightning rod. Which I went, no, this is probably the most intelligent thing I've heard of a comic artist doing, leaving Marvel at the top of your game after, your billion-selling issue of whatever it was, Spider-Man for him?
Yeah.
Yeah. You sold 1 million copies. Now you're going to go over and sell 1 million copies of your own book where you get all the money. And it's like, geez, good for you, kid. But he wasn't getting a lot of that from everybody else in the comic book field. Hey, good for you, kid. Which I think was when he decided to go and get guest writers, it's like there was no way that Dave Sim was in the same category as Frank Miller and Neil Gaiman and Alan Moore. But Todd can make Dave Sim be in the same category as those three guys. If I want to write one of these things. And the appeal for me on that was, I'll draw whatever you write. If you want to do 22 pages of Spawny sitting on the toilet, I'll draw 22 pages of Spawny sitting on the toilet, which is when I went, okay, that's not what I'm going to do, but boy, does this open up the possibilities of, hey, I
Right.
because Spawn is the flagship title. Nobody had any doubt or reservation about that. And it would have made more sense for me to say, here we're just going to put Cerebus on hold for 6 months and do 6 Image comics. I don't even know what they're going to be, but they're going to be superheroes, and they're going to sell 1 million copies, and that'll be just this great payday. So it's sort of it's the same thing with this. It's like somebody who can raise $500,000 for one comic book. Hey, good for you, kid.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to write it. And the way it stands now, it's supposed to be that I'm script doctoring the first one. Like I said, you do the story exactly the way you want the story to be done, and then I will come back with the same sort of suggestions as if we were doing a movie, where, okay, I'm script doctoring your movie, so here's my version of your script, and you can use all of this, you can use some of this, and then theoretically, after that one's done, then I will be actually writing the 3 that come after that. That was the way we left it. I don't know if that's still the situation. I don't know if Ethan went, Dave Sim is too toxic for me. I had no idea that people hated this guy this badly. And family man, he's got like 3 kids, wife and 3 kids.
And that's, as a guy with 2 kids, I understand hey, yeah, this is a great idea on Monday, and on Friday I don't know what's going on.
Right. And you always have to be thinking, not in the back of your mind, in the front of your mind, how's this going to impact my kids?
Yeah.
If it's going to impact your kids, then that's leverage that the mobbing community has over the Ethans of the world that it doesn't have over the Dave Sims of the world.
Well, and that's, I know that depending on who you ask, he was either chased out or he left DC, and it was one of those, it's Todd and Image all over again. Of okay, if you want to go do your own thing, go do your own thing. But it seems like the quote unquote movement is just so, there's people on a lot of it going back and forth looking at stuff. It seems like these are young guys that don't quite know the history of the medium, and they're making assumptions. And when the old veterans say, "Yeah, no, you're wrong," they're taking it as a personal affront instead of listening to like Bill Sienkiewicz, who's saying, "No, no, no, this is what happened. I was there."
That tends to be a universal condition as well. Those who don't learn from George Santayana are condemned to, how does that go? No, that was always my experience in comics. Was most people didn't know the history of the various things that happened. A lot of the reason that I was able to do Cerebus and have it be the semi-success that it was learning from Jim Whaley's mistakes on Org, because I was there working at Org. So it's like, okay, don't add a color section to your book. Don't change the format. Don't do an anthology title. Keep the logo the same. Don't get rid of the letters page. But, that's somebody who lost a fair amount of money making those mistakes so that I didn't have to make those mistakes when it came time.
I run into the same thing at work at the machine shop where the second shift guys they're all like 19, And I look at them and I'm like, I was you. I was as stupid as you are now. I'm telling you, the voice of the future, don't do that. And they just look at me like I have antenna and I'm turning green. And I'm just like, and I think back to when I was 19. It's like, no, I was a moron. I was one of the stupidest people on earth. And I learned. And that's why now, almost, 20 years later, it's, oh, hey, maybe don't do that.